Omega. Touch. 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 Omega. Sorry. Sorry. Excited ako. Yan. Omega. Omega. Touch. Good bird. That's a boy. Do it again. Another touch. Good bird. Touch. Touch. Hi guys, I'm John and you're watching Birds of Cebu, a channel dedicated to aviculture, avian behaviorism, and avian companionship. And today we are now at the 5th part of the How to Train a Bird series. Out of the 6 parts, this part is going to cover on target training. That's why I have my special target stick. And for today, we have Omega as our example because of the 3 birds that I'm trying to free flight. Well, of the 3 that are free flighted, Omega is the only one who's not familiar with target training. And you saw in the video that he's afraid of the target stick. But eventually, after 6 tries, I got him to get familiar and associate it with a treat because the consequence was good. After touching the stick, he now looks forward to this. Touch. So I purposely showed a bird that is not familiar with target training because I wanted you to see my approach when dealing with birds in target training. The objective of target training is simply to get the bird touching the stick gently. So remember, it's touching the stick gently and not biting it. Touch. So why are we trying to teach target training for birds? Well, I like to put target training as an idea of setting up a fundamental skill to help you in future tricks that you might want to teach the bird. Now, this is particularly helpful if you yourself have not been able to successfully handle your bird. So I'm talking about bird owners out there who cannot even get their bird to go to their hand, or if they have a biting problem with a bird. There's a distance between bird and owner. So that's the help of the target stick. It's still building that kind of relationship without having to have actual physical contact with the bird. Now, if you're new to target training, there's something that you should be wary of when dealing with target sticks. First, that birds generally will be afraid of something long and intimidating. So you might want to be careful on how you're handling it. If you saw in the example video how I got Omega to learn to do targeting, I had to be very slow, very gentle, and read his body signs. And I should not try to push the stick forward whenever he showed signs of being afraid. You want the experience to be rewarding. You want the consequence to be good. So get the bird familiar with the stick in a way that it doesn't scare the bird. Slowly put it to the side of the bird and ask them to touch. Or you can even show by touching the tip, showing that it's not very dangerous. That for me helped for Omega. But again, this doesn't apply for all birds. Some birds may still have not a good relationship with their owner, and that might affect the training. But those birds that tend to bite, now this is something that can be very helpful because it's already their nature to bite. So instead of getting them to bite you, at least get them to touch the stick. Omega, touch. Omega, touch. So as you can see, targeting is not just for the bird to touch the stick, but to encourage the bird to go to a particular area that you're trying to target. That's why it's called targeting. It's training the bird to move towards the direction where you want that bird to go. So in this case, targeting is not just helpful in terms of touching the stick. Targeting can also be helpful in trying to encourage the bird to come to you. So even if you don't have the bird landing on your hand, which of course can be developed later on, you can start with getting the bird to come to you closely by command. So for example, what you just saw a while ago was Omega flying to the perch because of the stick. Diba? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him fly somewhere far, and then I'm going to recall him using the target stick. Omega. Omega touch. He dropped it. Developing target training allows you to have this kind of consistent communication with your bird. And when a bird figures out that it is very easy and he knows exactly what's going to be done, then the bird becomes happy. They become satisfied or contented with the idea that, hey, I know how to get my treat. The whole thing with birds in the wild is that they do certain things, they analyze certain situations so that they can achieve their food. So this is what we call foraging. And they use their minds to figure out problem-solving situations so that they can get their treat. In this case, trick training or target training allows the bird to solve these problems, which is basically trying to figure out what you want them to do. And then they get their treat. And this is something that is similar to what they do in the wild. They figure out situations to get their food. Now, why do I emphasize target training? Why am I dedicating a whole episode just for it? Because target training is easy. Even birds that are not necessarily tamed or highly trained can get target training within the first day of training. So what do you want to do with target training? You want it to establish a communication flow with your bird. And the beauty of target training is that once you've established the idea of the target stick associated with an activity which is targeting, then the bird becomes excited for it. For example, when you first saw Omega looking at the target stick, he was very fearful. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't know what to expect from the stick. But now watch as I raise the stick. You will see he's going to be very excited. And perch. Look at him. Look at how he's looking at the stick. Touch. So you can see, if you have that kind of excitement, every training is going to be fun, and that's the objective that you want to have with your bird when it comes to training. I believe that training sessions are very effective when the bird has an enjoyable experience, and that's what you want this training to be. It is not for you to force the bird ideas and concepts, it's for the bird to enjoy the whole thing. Because in the wild, this is what they do. They enjoy foraging. They enjoy looking out for food. And you want to give that kind of lifestyle to your bird. You want them to have a fun experience. And what's important that when you're doing target training is that you're trying to read the body language. I think that one of the mistakes some people might have with target training is to encourage aggressive behavior. So watch out if the bird has aggressive tendencies. Again, you do not want to encourage the biting. So if you know that it's obvious biting, try not to reward that kind of activity. I think something that would be helpful, especially for larger birds, if you're looking at the tongue, because birds' natural tendency is to feel out something, see if they reach out with their tongue and see if that works for them. And that's where it's going to be challenging for certain people. If they're new to this, it's all about timing. You have to get the timing right. But once you get used to it, it becomes some sort of a, I would say, fluent action. It becomes very familiar for you. So start practicing. I mean, even without the bird, when you just, like, for example, the moment you touch something, you click until you get the whole, I would say, hand coordination. And then when you get the hand coordination, only then you start practicing with a bird. Because I know it gets really, I would say, nerve-wracking when you're starting off with a bird, because there's so many things that you need to prepare for. So do practice before you start practicing with a bird, and eventually you will see that it's not that difficult. I got this question from some pre-flight trainers out there. They were asking, should I still teach targeting to a bird that already does recall? In my opinion, yes. I think if there is another skill that you can add on top of the existing skills that they have, it allows you to vary your practice sessions. It allows you to change your routine every now and then so that the bird is stimulated. And there's no harm in teaching them target training. And because I observed this, this is what I observed with Iggy, who's actually doing target training. When I do recall training, it's all good until it comes to a point that he gets bored with it. But when I take out the target stick, his excitement gets refreshed. So there's something different and I would say novel about having a target stick that gets the bird all excited. And if I observe one thing about Iggy, Alpha, and Omega, all three of them doing target training, I noticed that they're always visibly excited when it comes to target training. And I think it's because it's such a simple skill and they know they can get it right. They know there's a treat coming after it. They are excited to do that particular practice. They are excited to do target training. So one last reminder when dealing with target training, make sure that the experience is fun. Have treats that are high value ready. Second is that be consistent with your reward, with your clicker marking, especially with capturing the behavior. You don't want to accidentally capture certain behaviors. For example, the bird turning away from the stick or possibly the bird biting and holding onto the stick. You don't want to capture those behaviors. And how do you happen to capture them? You click when they do those things. So make sure your timing is right. This is where you as a trainer have to build that skill on timing. And the third thing I want to remind you is that the target stick can be used in different situations, so you can be creative with it. Just make sure that you never use it to hit the bird, or you never use it to poke the bird in a way that it's uncomfortable for them. The moment you associate that kind of negative association, what happens is that it becomes difficult to teach target training. And I'd like to say as well that you might want to maybe not put it as a routine for the bird. What I do with my practice, although it can vary from trainer to trainer, what I do with my birds is that I hold off from target training on some days and then I bring it out on other days, and they're just really excited when it gets started. So I hope this will help you in your next step in teaching the bird to recall towards you if you haven't taught the bird that. So that means having target training is also opening the hope of teaching recall training for older birds that do not have a physical association with the trainer. So see you again next time in our last episode of How to Train Birds. I'm very happy to make this series because I've seen a lot of people starting to explore building a better relationship with their alien companions. And I hope you can also support our channel by liking and subscribing on our YouTube channel and sharing the content in your social media channels. And I look forward to see you guys in our last episode. See you again next time.